Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pickguardian.
Jared Brandon One Pickups.
Hey, everybody, this is Todd. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to this show. We are approaching the happy holidays, and we're thrilled about that, and getting ready to basically burn this fire dump of a year in looking back in the rearview mirror and seeing it go up in flames. We're happy. I think everybody's happy about that, and for whatever reason you might have. And we've got a interesting show because we've got a guest on here. He's been here before, and we had him on again because he's got a lot to tell. So, who are you?
I am Brian Nutter of Nutter Guitars, and I'm alive!
Yeah,
He lives.
Yes. So we're going to get into why he's alive in just a little bit, but we're really glad that he's here. He's a good friend of the show. We like him a lot. He makes some amazing guitars, and he is one hell of a player. Tony Bolonsky, what do we do on this Shonsky?
We like to talk about gear.
that's right.
Specifically boutique gear, and that would be things like guitars and amps and pedals and, oh my goodness, accessories, all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We like to talk to the people who make this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We get the story behind the story, and sometimes there's several stories behind the story. That's what we like to do.
What else do we do?
101 episodes. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have one coming up. It's going to be really cool.
Very excited about that. We have a few things we need to, we got a couple of announcements. First, we need to thank Rode Mics for providing the Rodecaster Pro console, this amazing machine that we are so grateful for, and the Procaster mics, which are doing a heck of a job of making us sound pretty okay. Considering how we sound in real life, this is amazing. All right, everybody, listen to this. Streaming now on Redbox On Demand, experience the incredible rise of legendary blues artist Joe Bonamassa in Guitar Man, featuring behind-the-scene interviews and live concert footage with some of the biggest names in music. Stream Guitar Man instantly on your smart TV or your favorite device with the Redbox app today. Rated PG-13 from Paramount Pictures.
Nice.
How'd I do?
That sounded good. You even got Joe's name right.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's written right here. Hey, everybody listening, this is really cool because we have a couple free passes to watch this. We're going to let loose on the world. Yes. So, Tony, you happen to be a friend with Mr. Blues Artist.
I am a friend of Mr. Blues Artist. I got to know Joe a long time ago when, he was, on the magazine covers and different things like that. And, it's kind of funny. The first time I did any work for him, I get an email and it says, hello, my name is Joe Bonamassa. You may not know me, but I am blah, 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 blah. And I wrote back, I said, I know who you are.
Yeah.
And but we've had a really good relationship over the years. And whenever he always throws me some oddball things that he needs done. I think last time we talked about, I did this kind of like an SJ200 armrest that had the vines and flowers engraved into it. And so that was, he always finds a way to challenge me. And I kind of like that.
I'm just glad you didn't say he asked you to paint his toenails in tobacco burst.
That would be kind of gross.
I'd like to see that.
that might be if your toenails look like that, you probably want to go to the podiatrist.
True.
Yep.
Too true. So anyways, everybody jump out of your seats and go check that out when you get a chance, pretty much. You don't have to go anywhere because it's going to stream right to your favorite device, your home, whatever you want. But it's Joe Bonamassa. It's a story about him. That can't be a bad thing. That should be pretty fantastic, actually.
That's right.
All right. Just two other quick things. you need to check out our show on YouTube. If you're not already, we're out there. It's the podcast. You can't see us, but you can hear us. So if you're watching a lot of YouTube and it's easier, you were saying like, gosh, I wish the show was on YouTube so I could just listen to it after I watched whatever nonsense I'm watching. Well, you can do that now. And in between episodes, you can check out Jared's show. Jared, what's your show?
I have a new show called Rewind Time with Brandon Wound Pickups. It's not very long. They're all less than 10 minutes. Most of them are. And I just show the before and after and talk about each pickup that I'm restoring.
You're doing a great job. It's nice to see your face. I'm like, hey, here's my friend right there. It's kind of weird. I got to be honest.
It's not a high dollar, really worked hard on editing kind of thing. So it
looks good. You look great. Everything is great, man. Don't worry about that.
No, it's perfectly good. It's natural, as
it
opposed
is.
to some.
I'm about to drop the next episode right now.
All right. Well, that's super fun stuff. We need to find out what's going on in our music worlds collectively this week. Tony Baloney is going to kick us off, and then we're going to hear from our pal Brian Nutter of Nutter Guitars. But wait, before we even start, if you're not familiar with Nutter Guitars, Brian, where can people see what you do?
Oh man, you can. The most active thing you're going to see is going to be on Instagram under Nutter Guitars, Facebook as well, and then nutterguitars.com. The website is currently being renovated. I think the old site is still up, but the new stuff is going to be way cooler and way prettier. So that's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Awesome. And Brian, you're calling from somewhere like quite literally in the sticks, right?
For real. Yeah, I'm about 45 minutes outside of Nashville.
Right.
On a 22-acre farm.
Right. So we're going to get it. We're going to get a little robotness from Brian, but that's okay cuz he's out there living his life in a beautiful part of the country and a lovely little farm. So
that's right.
Cut him some slack, everybody, okay?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Tony, tell us. Talk to us.
So this
Say
week,
something.
I am saying. So this week, I've had a chance to play around with and make some setup mods and things to a guitar that a friend of mine made. His name's Pat Murray. He owns Coop Guitars.
Hey. And
I had my eye on this guitar. It's essentially similar to a Telly thin line, like a 69 style Telly thin line, except this one has a silver burst. So if anyone's familiar with Gibson finishes, silver bursts they have a silver finish and black edges. And this one had a pair of Lollertrons in it, a Hipshot bridge and Hipshot tuners. It's just a really cool guitar. And the first time I saw it, I just said, oh man, I'd really like to get that. So about a month or two ago, we sealed the deal, and he made he didn't have to, but I said, well, the action feels a little bit high. So he probably did more work than he should have, to try to bring it closer into my specs. But I got it. I am just loving it. It plays like butter. The Lollertrons sound incredible. It's just a very, very cool guitar. So my tip of the fez to my buddy Pat at Coop Guitars.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks really pretty. It's a silver burst, isn't it?
Silver burst, yes.
Yes.
Some would call it a silver burst, as I said earlier.
Yeah, I'm just doubling up on that. Make sure I heard it correctly.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So it's a silver burst.
It's technically it's a black to silver burst.
Okay, gotcha. Thought it was the other way around. That would have been ugly.
Oh yeah.
No. Anyways, let's see, Brian. How about yourself? Anything not building guitars?
No, sadly. This week has been nothing but just trying to fulfill orders from the year that I've been sort of backed up on. So there's a lot of cool things. I set a neck and an acoustic guitar. One of the very few Nutter acoustics that are out there. Just buttoned up a lap steel design that's really cool. I'm going to be doing more of those, but they're going to have the Duesenberg multi-benders on them.
Nice.
I also have about, I think there's 7 Astro Captains in various stages of completion.
And these are your own guitar models.
Yes. And I'm reintroducing the Ranger, which is a different thing for me. It's not straight lines. It's very curvy. So working on that. And I have a 5-string short scale Ranger bass that's just about done.
Cool.
Awesome. That sounds really cool. You're not really known for curvy bits.
No, lots of straight lines in what I do. But there are 2 designs that I'm going to re-release this year that are very curvy, but still retain that retro-futuristic vibe that the Astro Captain and the Admiral both have.
Very cool. Can't wait to see that. And we're going to talk to Brian more about his guitars here in just a little bit. And let's see, Jared, about yourself.
So I have several acoustic guitars, some of them very sentimental, some of them really nice guitars, and I need a good acoustic guitar pickup. And I bought this Dean Markley acoustic guitar sound hole pickup about 20 years ago or 20 some years ago or something. And it's real nice, and I can't find it. I looked all over yesterday. I looked all over today. I have no idea where it is. So I'm real tempted to try to make my own, but I've never ever attempted to make a acoustic guitar pickup ever. Cause I think at this point I have to try to make my own, since I've been making electric guitar pickups for at least, how long now? 15 years. So yeah.
Well, the one tip I could, if you're going to use a magnetic pickup, you're going to want to either lower the E and the B considerably. Anything that's under an unwrapped string to balance it out.
Yeah, you know who did that like 50, 60 years ago was DeArmond.
That is correct.
They would have the B even under the plastic, and the other ones were exposed.
Yep. So so in order to balance things out, because I used to run into that with magnetic sound hole pickups all the time. Most of my guitars now have a under saddle pickup, but I think Fishman might make a decent sound hole pickup that you could put in there too.
They just seem to be the leaders of acoustic guitar pickups.
For me, it's going to be the K&K. It's a 3-point. It's a 3-point transducer that actually attaches to the bridge plate inside the guitar, between the E and the B, the G and D, and the A and E. That it's a passive system, and it's what I toured with extensively for several years. It blew away any undersaddle piezo that gives that just nasty quack if you hit it too hard. Right. It's it's basically your guitar just louder, and it's way less prone to feedback. It's probably the coolest thing going as far as acoustic guitar pickups go. You can run it with a preamp. I really never did, but and even now, whenever I do any kind of repair or build an acoustic, that's what goes in.
K and K. So it's the letter K twice, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the letter K.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to look that up.
We
I'm
learned something
intrigued.
today.
Yeah, I haven't. That's
did.
one I'm not familiar with.
That's what this podcast is for.
Exactly.
So,
They're relatively inexpensive too. They're only about $100. Installation's really simple.
I'm in. And now I
Very
got to get
cool.
about 4 or 5 of them for my guitars.
Very cool. For me,
How about you, Todd?
thank
Yeah.
you, Tony. I love the little delayed intro. I got to play around with this little gem that came in through the mail from one of our executive producers, Doug Christ.
Oh,
Yes.
what is it?
I was
Tell.
very, very excited about this. So I got this little tiny pedal. It's a little guy, little tiny thing. And that is called the Fat Guy Little Coat from 37 Effects. He owns 37 Effects.
Oh,
Yeah. And
all 37. He owns all 37.
he owns all 37 of them. But he's got this great little fuzz called 37 Effects. Fat Guy Little Coat. And it's super clean on the inside. It's based off of a color sound fuzz, but with his own twist on it. I gotta tell you, it is a solid little pedal. Like no noise at all. Like even goosed. I'm really surprised at how, and not because it's gating really bad either, right? It just has like there's no noise. I was surprised because I thought it was going to be a noisy, super noisy little thing. And it's a great sounding fuzz. There's not a wide range of like, oh, you can get this kind of fuzz and this kind of fuzz, and it isn't that. It's a sound, but that sound it's almost synth like. Like I'm we've talked about this many times. I'm not Mr. Noodles. I don't do the wheelie wheelie bits so awesome, right? I'm no bueno. That's Nutter's business. I'm not the wheelie wheelie. But this is like Bend City. It's like and it just sings.
Huh.
And it's really weird because it started to actually sound almost like a synth, and I was like, "This is crazy! It sounds really good." And it was my guitar into the Supro Black Magic, and it sounded great.
Nice.
Yeah, really cool. So I'll be letting you guys check that out.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that
as soon as I can. Yeah, and it's he sent a great note. I have it. I'm gonna do an unboxing. I'm also I did an unboxing already. You haven't seen it yet. You will have seen it by this point. So if you haven't seen it, you're gonna see it. I make used pickups for old pickups and
Can you have the note bronzed?
The what?
The note. Can you have it bronzed?
You might be able to. I don't know. It might burn, but I might frame it. Anyways, it's a lovely note, and basically the gist is here's another person that has been listening to the show for a long time and was motivated to start building pedals, into which he actually created his own brand. He's building. I was like, I'm just utterly blown away when we hear things like that, and I can't even explain how good that makes me feel. Not just for my own sake of like, I feel good, la, 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 but like somebody else is feeling probably better. And that's really cool.
Excellent.
So anyways, that's been my week. We're going to hop on into...
Oh, Todd, wait a minute.
What is this?
It's Santa.
It's the jolly old elf.
It's baloney claws.
Merry Christmas. Pass the baloney.
Well, you're really getting into this, aren't you, Santa?
Yes, I am, Todd.
You sounds like you're thrilled to death to have this job.
Why don't you come over here and sit on my lap and tell me what you want for Christmas?
If I can find it, I will.
Well, all of you boys have been really good this year, and I wanted to bring you something very special.
Oh,
What?
Well, you tell me what specialty.
So you want to bring us something very special. We need to tell you what that special thing is.
Well, I always know, but I like to hear it from the customer.
I get you. Well, let's see. Who would you like to talk to
I'd like
first?
you, Todd, first.
You'd like
You're my favorite.
Okay, well, golly, there's so many things that I've been wanting. Baloney Claus, you caught me off guard. Just one thing.
One thing. If you could have one thing in the world for Christmas, what would that be, Toddy?
Let me see here. If I could have one thing, that is this a realistic question? You can grant me any wish I want?
Anything you want, my friend.
Gosh, dang it. That is really tough. Actually, you know what? I think, no, I can't. I don't, there's so many things. Actually, you know what would be really great is I think I would like to get a Marshall style combo so that I'm not just playing out of my Supro, so that I could kind of mix it up now and again, something that I could go out and gig with. So I know that, I could get a Marshall, but I know there's several others out there, but you really caught me off guard. So I'm trying to figure this out.
Well, here all along, I had you down for a 200th episode.
Oh, well, that is coming, and I hope nothing stops that.
Well, let me see what I can get together with the elves and put something that's kind of Marshall-y and kind of Fender-y and all that other fun stuff.
Oh, perfect. I love it.
I know a guy up in Chicago named Balthazar that can probably help out. Oh. He's one of the three wise men, too.
Oh, man. Yes, a little noir combo would be beautiful.
All righty, let's see what we can do. How about you, Brian? You've had a really tough year this year. What would you like for Christmas?
One thing I would like to have, I would love to have an Eventide H9. I've been really wanting one of those for a while.
That's a very popular unit. It has been for the last couple years. All the big boys want the H9.
Yes, that's been on the 4 on the floor many, many times, hasn't it, Santa?
Oh, I stopped counting after 12. One for each day of Christmas.
Oh boy! Well, who knows, Brian? Maybe you will get your Christmas wish granted by Baloney Claus.
Oh yes. How about you, Jared? Jared. You've been a very good boy this year. Well, what would you like?
Well, Baloney Claus, I think Brian Nutter talked me into getting a K&K acoustic guitar pickup, so I want one of those.
Well, one's never enough for you, Jared. You better get 2 on order at least.
Maybe 4 or 5, Santa?
Let me see what the elves can do.
Yeah.
How about you, Tony? What would you like this year?
Well, Santa, I'd like a cure for the COVID and the corona. And a vaccine available to everyone. And if it's not too much trouble, I wouldn't mind if Rickenbacker would make a reissue of the 4005 semi-hollow bass. I would love one of those.
Whoa, that's a tall order. Let me call my friends over at Rickenbacker and see what we can do. Ooh, I wish it wasn't so tough of a task, but I'll give it my best. All righty, now Fender, now Gibson, now Martin and Breedlove, on Hoffner, on Schecter, on Taylor and Jackson, to the top of the stage, to the top of the hall.
Oh,
now,
man.
dash away all.
Oh, goodbye, Santa. Oh, standing clap for Baloney Claus.
Yay,
that was amazing.
Claus.
We hope we see you return again sometime, Baloney Claus.
That's right.
He's a swell guy.
Yeah. Wow.
Sounds like he could use a shot.
Such a treat. like a rabies shot. Well, I hope we all get the things that we wish for. Because now all I can think about is what amp that would be. Golly, that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well, with that, everybody, I hope you're thinking about what Baloney Claus would want to bring you, and think really, really hard and wish on the Christmas star, and maybe it'll happen.
Hey, speaking of which,
Yes.
on December 21st, if you look up into the southwestern sky, Saturn and Jupiter will be aligned so as to create something that would be comparable to a Christmas star. It's going to be super bright. This hasn't happened for over 800 years.
Wow.
So the winter equinox up in the sky. Take a peek.
That's incredible.
Cool.
We'll do that.
Be about the best thing that happened in 2020.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds really interesting. Well, on to some guitar related stuff. We're talking with Brian Nutter here, and
That's amazing.
Who?
I said that is amazing.
It is that we're talking to Brian Nutter. Well, maybe even more amazing that he's talking back to us. Really?
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
So, Brian, I'm going to let you do most of the talking here, which I know is a little weird. Tell us what happened. You had some really nasty stuff happening. We tried to keep everybody updated during the year, but enlighten us, if you will.
Well, so the year started off great. It was full of promise. I went to NAMM. Actually, got to see Jared there. Did a lot of great business, and it was looking super promising. There were major retailers that were going to happen, as well as some really interesting custom work that I was going to be doing. And got back from NAMM, and then February 7th. For those of you guys that don't know, I'm also the lead instructor for the electric guitar program at Musicians Institute Guitarcraft Academy here in Nashville.
Wow.
I had just finished.
So you know what you're doing. That's what you're trying to say?
Oh, at least someone thinks I do. I had just finished class on a Friday night, February 7th, and a student asked me if I wanted some sunflower seeds. So I took a handful and just sort of munched them down, and they sort of got stuck. So I took a big swig of water, and when I did, I had this horrific pain.
Oh, no.
Tried to drive home and was having a hard time breathing, had to pull over and had called the ambulance. They get me to the ER and discover that I had torn a hole in my esophagus with the sunflower seed shells.
Oh.
And my chest cavity was sort of full of all of this shrapnel, as well as all of the water that I was continuing to drink. And I was kind of drowning from the inside. That's why I couldn't breathe, because I was filling up.
Right.
So they get me in, do emergency surgery on me, cut me open, go through my rib cage on my left side, collapse my left lung, do the repair to my esophagus. And then for the next 3 months, it was a constant stream of like being in and out of the hospital. I contracted double pneumonia 2 or 3 times. I went through septic shock a couple of times, which is an infection in your bloodstream. I eventually got an infection within my bones themselves. It was intense. I mean, I spent a lot of it, as you would, full of several narcotics. I mean, every 4 hours I was on oxycodone, and then in between those, I was on morphine.
Oh boy!
So,
oh my God,
during this whole process is whenever the pandemic hits. So I truly woke up kind of like out of a drug-fueled stupor, kind of like Rick Grimes in the first episode of The Walking Dead. I look around and, dude, what happened to the world? Just give me my horse and I'll ride back to the house. What's going on? So and then I end up changing hospitals, and this would have been May, and went through another emergency surgery to remove all this infection, and lost 50 pounds on the creepiest diet ever. They would put me on what they call NPO, which means you can't have any food or drink. So I would have just IV fluid going into me for up to 6 days at a time. So no food or drink for 6 days. That happened 3 or 4 times. So I went from like 187 all the way down to 137.
Oh, man.
Since then, I've gained about 30 of that back, and I'm back to what I consider fighting weight, which is nice. But by June or mid-June, the hole of my esophagus had finally healed up. What was supposed to take 6 weeks for me to get turned around ended up taking, nearly 6 months.
Wow.
And then it was a matter of, I walked around my house with an IV stuck in me. There was a nurse that came out here and dealt with me. I had drain tubes and a feeding tube and all of this. It was really, really heavy for a while. So it took, once all of that stuff came out, which would have been like sometime in July, it still took a couple of months for me to feel somewhat normal and be able to move around. And then I really didn't get back into my shop until it was very late September, starting into October.
I was going to say about almost like a month ago or so, but it's maybe 2, I guess.
Yeah, it hasn't been long. And I've got, during that time, even from playing, my hands feel like potatoes right now. I don't feel like I can still play, but I definitely don't feel like I'm up to snuff.
Welcome to
getting
the club.
Back into the shop. That was back in the shop. I had all these orders that people had been waiting on, and thank God these people were super, patient and understanding of my situation. Mm-hmm. But all of that fantastic business that I started in January at NAMM sort of vaporized while I was drugged up, not because of my injury, but because of the pandemic that hit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I like so many of my buddies, all of this business just sort of vaporized. But man, during that, the guitar community, both from the player side and from the maker side, really rallied around me. It was awesome. I mean, guys like Matt Flattery and Chris Fesker over at Texas Toast Guitars, just champion individuals. You can't ask for better people. Doug Cower, that guy is unbelievable. John Sullivan at Sully Guitars. It was cool. You guys, I saw where you guys had mentioned it a few times. I can't thank you guys enough for that. That was wonderful. The playing community here in Nashville, all the side guys that I knew and artists that I'd worked for over the years, it was a neat thing. Even some of my suppliers, like Joe McGowan at TCB Global, where I get all of my finishing stuff, where actually just about the entire guitar making community gets all of their finishing stuff from Joe McGowan. He was super cool. It was an experience. I think all told, I came close to death like 3 times. So that was fun. I don't recommend it. But now, I'm right back in it as hard as I can go.
So I'm guessing sunflower seeds are not on the Christmas list this year.
So true. What's funny is the student that the school shut down right as soon as the pandemic hit. So we reopened October 5th. with class, and the student that gave me the sunflower seeds to begin with brought me another handful, just about what I took.
Oh, no.
That first week, and you know what? I have that handful of sunflower seeds in a small paint mixing cup on my desk, and I look at it all the time, just like, all right, even really little stupid things can just about take you out. So, and that was going to be a total drag too, because I mean, I used to restore and race vintage motorcycles and martial arts and all this other weirdo stuff that I should have been killed with. But to have a sunflower seed almost take me out, man, that was very, very emasculating. I was not into that at all.
It's weird because I remember, I was in Little League for years and years and all kinds of, leagues, baseball leagues after that. And anybody that has played ball is like, yeah, you go through thousands and thousands of seeds. But I can never understand these guys that just eat them, like chew them all up and then eat them. Like, what the heck? That's not good. And there's nothing good about that. Why are you doing that? Why did you do that, Brian?
Well, see, I was always that dude. Even if I would eat an apple, I would eat the whole apple.
What are you, a horse?
There'd be nothing left. Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
It was just easier than, being lazy to go throw the thing away.
Yeah. That's like Jared with a rack of ribs. I mean, there's nothing left.
Nothing left.
No sauce either.
No.
Honey, there's a skeleton in the toilet.
awesome.
What's going on?
That's awesome.
So I'm kind of curious. Many times when people get hurt, they go through big illnesses, broken arms and all that. You have really heavy duty muscle atrophy. Now, aside from muscle atrophy, you also, your whole muscle memory thing, being not using it at all for that long, how heavily were you really affected playing wise?
Oh man, it was something. The longest stretch that I went without playing anything was about 3 months. And that was the longest I had. I'm about to turn 48. And that was the longest that I had gone without playing the guitar since I was 12.
Wow.
So it was weird. My hands didn't feel like they really were mine.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that instant connection whenever I put the guitar on. It's like, okay, I kind of know what to do with this thing.
Yeah. Well, and as a reminder, you've toured with loads of people. Like, can you just give a quick, just a brief touch on?
Yeah. Here in Nashville, if you had a country deal in the early 2000s, I was probably your guitar player at some point. But the bigger names would have been like Lone Star, Taylor Swift, and Dierks Bentley. And I was in Keith Urban's band for the better part of a decade. So,
so you can play a little bit.
I can hold my own. I can be somebody's stunt double if I need to.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was that was interesting. Now, one of the muscle atrophy things that I had from all of the surgeries, because I was probably put under, because they kept putting stents in my esophagus. I was probably put under about a dozen times this year. Which was wild. But the way they would position my right arm, my right shoulder atrophied in such a way that I couldn't, around my house, I have guitars on hooks everywhere, and I couldn't take a guitar off of the hook with my right arm.
Wow.
It just physically couldn't lift it. And I mean, it could have been like my 1929 Gibson L1 that weighs like maybe a half a pound. I couldn't budge it, couldn't move it. Forget about, my like 84 Les Paul or whatever, that I wanted to grab a hold of. I had to do it with my left arm.
How in the world did you do armpit farts?
Oh, they had to learn how to do it with my left arm. That's the only way you can do it. It's the only way it was possible. Yeah, it was wild.
Wow.
So that's, but then, as as I continued to heal, all of my right arm strength came back, and yeah, back to normal.
Yeah, I imagine you had to do quite a bit of rehabilitation, physical rehabilitation.
Yeah, I had these fun like rubber band things.
Oh yeah,
that I used to get the strength back into my right arm.
Crazy. Whew. Well, you're back in the shop. You're building. You're playing again.
Yeah.
Man, what a great feeling that's got to be.
Yeah, man, it truly is. Because I would, even during like the sickest times, I would try to go out to the shop, and the shop's about, I don't know, 70 feet from my house, and that was a long walk. I'd get out there and just like sit down in front of the workbench, and then just couldn't really do anything. Now, what I did do while I was sick, and I realized, all right, I'm physically not going to be able to do anything, so I'm still going to be proactive here and do stuff. So I would call, suppliers, and I would call, potential customers and what have you, and keep that kind of ball rolling. But I also learned and sort of taught myself CAD during the process.
Cool.
So I learned, I went back in and I learned Rhino, and I learned Fusion 360. So as far as how, to 3D model all of my guitars and to tool path them, and then eventually start doing some automation stuff in the shop.
Wow.
So that was productive.
Outstanding. Yeah. So you're back in production. People who ordered are getting happy. You got guitars moving, and you have some new designs you were talking about really earlier.
I do. They're not new. They're older things that whenever I originally, whenever I relaunched Nutter Guitars in about 5 years ago, I had 4 designs that I was kind of focusing on. And I really chose to focus all my attention onto the straight line angular thing of the Astro Captain, and then eventually the Admiral. But there were 2 other designs that I really loved, and I knew I'd always do something else with them. And so I'm going to be re-releasing what I call the Ranger, which is very curvy and has some bevels, sort of like an SG, but set neck, tilt back headstock. The Astro Captain is also about to get sort of an update. The neck pocket is going to change a little. It's also, all the guitars are going to tilt back headstocks, but very shallow. I'm not going for like the 14-degree Gibson headstock break kind of thing, but all the guitars are going to be going actually half that. They will be at 7-degree. Just enough to give you break angle over the nut. But then when you lay the guitar down flat, the back of the headstock doesn't touch the floor.
That's smart.
Which, that was the plan of like, well, what if it falls over? Well, hopefully the back of the headstock won't hit first.
Hey, Brian, Brian, are you using a scarf joint on that, or are you actually just cutting it out of the block?
So the new necks that will be going to the 7-degree angle will actually be a 3-piece multi-lam maple. Okay. So it won't be a scarf joint. Okay. I like this. I like the scarf joint, but it's time consuming, and it can be prone to fail. I know that classical guitar makers use it a lot, but I mean, even in like the rock world, you'll have, I think, Grover was probably one of the first guys to really adopt it at Jackson.
Where do you see, where is the scarf joint on the guitar?
The scarf joint is the Ibanez is probably the most prominent one that you'll see it on. So if you look at the back of an Ibanez neck, as you're headed up toward the headstock from the body, you get back to behind the 2nd or 3rd fret, and you'll see a little swoop, and you'll notice that the grain changes in the neck. Mm-hmm. What that is that they've cut the neck off off of the board. They cut the end off of the board at the angle of the headstock, and then they flip that around and glue it back on. That's what creates the angle of the headstock. So there were other companies in the 80s that were trying to use the scarf joint, like Kramer, for example. It still boggles my mind to think that in 1987, Kramer Guitars was the most sold brand of guitar in the United States.
Wow.
Well, it's just because of Eddie. I mean,
everyone. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they had lots of failures on the scarf joint. So that's my. But I like the thought of the multi-lam neck because it's way more stable. It's having the opposing grain patterns of the three different plies helps to prevent twisting and up bow and back bow and all that kind of stuff that you don't want.
Right, and you're not wasting a lot of wood with a shallower angle as opposed to like a Gibson style.
Exactly.
Angle.
So I had a question.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask kind of before we got really into this heavy guitar stuff. The one more thing I wanted. I'm sorry. We're going to backtrack for a second. When you got back into your shop, I mean, because Todd just switched gears. He went from reverse to like fifth gear in 3 seconds. So when you got in, like, Monday morning for me is joyful because I get to go in my shop and start working. I can't imagine being gone for 6 months and being kept away from a shop. So you just quickly describe what it was like to just turn the lights on and just kind of look around and see where your tools were. And see what behind.
It was overwhelming in a bunch of different ways, sort of overwhelming and a little emotional of like, all right, so I'm not dead. That's awesome. Cool. I'm back here. This is going to be great. I got to get to work. And then it was like reality set in of, oh, flip. I am so behind. Now what?
So it went from elation so it went from elation to, urgency. Right away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, full on just like immediate prioritization. Like, all right, what do I tackle first? What's almost done? What's almost done? What can I get out of here to begin with? So, yeah.
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 Thank you.
Brian, you were talking about new shapes and stuff, and one of the things that we had on recently was we had a good would you rather choose the elusive Gibson Moderne or the Wedge? And
dude, I totally heard that episode.
Oh yeah,
and I was in it was like one of the first weeks I was back in the shop, and you guys could probably hear me yelling from the shop.
So, out of curiosity, what would you go with?
Dude, I actually owned one of those like early 80s reissue Moderns, and that thing would not have even made a good boat oar.
Yeah.
What a piece of crap that guitar was.
Well,
there's video of me using it. I mean, and it even had the Tim Shaw humbuckers and the whole bit. I mean, it was a well-made guitar. It was just a horrible design.
Yeah,
and it sits on you so weird. Like if you love that guitar, then you love it. But I have a feeling that there's not going to be any gray area in there. Like
no.
The dudes that love it, and everybody else goes nope.
Yep.
And waves goodbye to it with one finger in the air.
Yeah, well, it's no Corvus, that's
yeah, really.
Now, one of the reasons I was asking that is that I think you're maybe one of the few builders that I could see redoing or doing an inspired version of the Wedge.
Yeah, you know what? That's I think the Wedge is neat. All that metal neck stuff I think is neat.
Well, even without the metal neck, just the body shape. It's just like there's something so badass about that because it's just like, wow, okay, there's that.
Well, it's good. The wedge to me, it sort of looks like we look at it as the same as everyone else looked at the Flying V and the Explorer in 1958. Like, what is that thing?
Yeah.
So, I have, piles of other designs that have just sort of either been scrapped or rolled up in the corner or whatever. But there is actually a V that I have that it's hard to do a V and not look like a Flying V.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jackson did a great job of creating the original Concorde for Randy and coming up with that thing so it doesn't really look like a Flying V.
Sully does a fantastic one too. That thing is beautiful.
Oh yeah, his Concorde is killer. The V that I have drawn up is actually sort of like Paul Stanley had this V early on in Kiss, like in the first record. That was a custom built thing. I forget that cat's name that made the guitars, but he made guitars for Paul and for Gene. But he had this Flying V, and the lower horn was actually shorter. And if you look on YouTube, like very early Kiss stuff from like 1974, he's playing that guitar, and man, I always loved that thing. So my sort of take on the V has a shorter horn. I still haven't gotten got a really good excuse to make one yet, but that one stays stuck up on the wall, and I stare at that one a lot.
That is a cool that shorter horn on the upper one. That is interesting. Like if you're just looking at it, you're like, man, that looks kind of dumb. But if you're looking at it from a playing angle, that's actually pretty rad.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that guitar was stolen, so it is sort of lost to rock and roll somewhere.
Yeah. Wild, man. Well, Brian, it was super awesome talking with you, my friend. And we've said this before, we're just really thrilled that you are back in action and feeling good and healthy and ready to make more awesome guitars. Thank you. The other thing that I got going is I'm about to introduce an import line. So we will start with a version of the Astro Captain and a version of the Astro Commander. Really?
The Astro Captain will have so it will have three P9 or three humbucker sized P90s. It won't have all the bells and whistles switching of the one that I do here, but you'll still be able to access any and all of the three pickups.
Wow.
And then it'll have the same vibrato, all the same hardware that I use currently on the stuff that I make here. Then the Astro Commander is even more stripped down. It's basically an Explorer. It's two humbuckers, 3-way switch, no vibrato, volume, tone.
So can you explain just really quickly what an import line is?
So the import line is these guitars are my designs, made to my specs, but they're made in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be made by a company that makes guitars for several major manufacturers, as well as loads of my friends as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very high quality. If you go into Guitar Center, you will be hard pressed to not see a guitar on the wall that didn't come out of that factory.
Yeah.
They do a really, really good job. And so I'm about to get the first samples. And I'm hoping to have those into actual dealers and a couple of mail order places as well.
That's awesome. Are you able to share any price points or anything like that, or is that too early to tell?
Well, I'm thinking that the Commander's going to come in somewhere right around $1,000, and
that's awesome.
And the Captain will be about $1,200 or so, give or take.
Right.
And either one of those, but it comes with both guitars will come with a custom gig bag.
Man, that's a pretty sweet deal, because you're your guitars are flipping cool, man, and you can still get them handmade by you, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's really cool. Please keep us up to date. Like when those things start rolling out, just give us a heads up so we can, tell the world and junk. Okay.
Will do.
Awesome.
Will do.
Brian, we're going to take a stroll on over and knock on Jared's door and hit his Ring doorbell.
What's that?
So that we don't get two barrels pointed at us.
That's right.
You can bring it.
Well, it was one of the better shows, I think, that we've had in 2020 with Brian back, and we got to see, Baloney Claus too today. Well, here Baloney Claus. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my 2 cents.
I can't wait till next year when he comes back. That was such a treat.
No kidding.
But in the meantime, let's play a little game of Would You Rather?
All right.
Today's Would You Rather is from our good old buddy Jason Roush. And I really like this Would You Rather, although the second I read it, I'm like, I know what I'm going to do. So let me go ahead and
paint us a picture.
Would you rather have the ability to hear any song and instantly be able to play it, or would you rather have the ability to constantly write hit songs?
Ooh.
Now, you can't have both of those skills. Now, would you rather write hit songs and get residuals for the rest of your life? Or would you rather just play in some bar that, but be able to play every song you hear on the radio on the jukebox?
Now we had a question similar to this, but that question was more about it was different. It was different. I'm not going to butcher what it was, but it was different enough. So I said, yeah, actually, this is a very good one. So
yeah, I do like this one.
Okay, so we can either hear anything and play it on command, but we can't play any of our own. We can't create anything original, or what was the second part?
Non-stop hit songs.
Non-stop hit songs.
Yeah, we're the writer of hit music.
I'm the writer of hit music, good or bad. Okay, Tony Baloney, what's going on?
Wow. So
this is harder than you might think.
Yeah, but interesting. I just happened to be reading an article about all of these musicians who are dumping their catalogs because they can't get any residuals because of streaming. So
like me?
Yeah, well, like the revenue stream from writing material might not be as lucrative right now, at least, unless they can come up with a way to
somebody will solve it.
Somebody will solve it. I think it's going to be Jared. But I think I like the idea of being able to write hit song after hit song after hit song. If for nothing else, if even if the money isn't there, which there's going to be a little scratch, at least initially. But I think having that ability and to be able to, I think there would be a great deal of satisfaction of having that skill. I mean, being able to play anything you hear. I mean, there's already people that can kind of do that now, or they get it close. But that's great if you're amongst 5 or 10 people. But if you're writing stuff that is top notch hit material all the time, I think that's a better way to go.
Okay. All right. Jared?
It's a case of the grass is greener on the other side. I mean, I'm a common every day, can pick up a guitar and play mostly anything I can hear on the radio to a certain extent of, just basic chords. I'm just a common guitar player.
Yes, but this new skill will make you able to play things note for note exactly.
I'm still I want to write
Cliffs of Dover.
I cannot write a song to save my life. I cannot. I just have never. When I was younger, I tried to sit down and write songs, but now I'm scared to. I can't write any songs. So yes, I want the magical power of writing continuous hits.
Maybe you should have asked Baloney Claus for that skill.
Maybe I should have. But I love building pickups for, anybody.
Somehow this turned into an ad.
Right? So I know how that feels to satisfy. I want to write songs for stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
I want to write songs for, Led Zeppelin.
Do you want to write songs that make the whole world sing?
Oh,
How about songs of love and special
I knew
things?
Tony was going to do that. Okay.
I'll take the songwriting skill. Yes.
Okay. Now, this is going to be interesting because Brian, you made a career out of maybe both, hey?
Yeah, somewhat. My true job was to be able to play anything on the radio. So that was I've lived that part of it, and I've done a fair amount of songwriting, but never had the opportunity to get the hits. So I would absolutely take that, because I can tell you what both of them pay. One pays way better, and I'm choosing the high-end pay gig. Even though in today's world of Spotify and any kind of other streaming avenues, if you have a hit song and it's on the radio, which I still don't understand why we have this antiquated form of music distribution called radio, but it still pays very, very well. Now, what artists are really mostly upset about the streaming thing is that the streaming thing doesn't pay very well, and they're getting all these plays, and it doesn't pay back as much, but radio still does. So if you have a hit song, you're still talking about a lot of dough.
Yeah.
Playing anything on the radio, yeah, that's like a really fun, good paying dead end job. It's really
see the world. It's like that. It's like joining the Navy or something like that. Only the guitar Navy.
Totally.
Shout out to our friend at Hello Sailor Effects, by the way. Yes. Well, I had the extreme, lifetime bucket list wish this summer when we released our. I've released other things in the past, but this was the first time it was like a proper release. And, I wrote the music, and we got on the radio a couple times. And the very first time that I heard my song on the radio, I was a mess. I was a mess, and it was beautiful. And my drummer was sitting there with me, and we were just we waited our whole lives for that since we were little kids. I mean, it is movies were made about that kind of stuff, and it was like we were sitting and I was like, I can't believe I'm hearing my stuff on the radio. Mm-hmm. I'm absolutely blown away. Now, listenership is minuscule, and radio, does that even count for anything anymore? It did, because it was sentimental to us because we grew up with it. At the same time that one song was playing that one time on the radio, we're getting downloads on Spotify and stuff, but it's not the same thing. So knowing how that feels, I'd take that every day of the week. I love it. I love that. I love the feeling of walking up, picking up the guitar, and just going, I have no idea what's going to happen next. And then 15, 20 minutes earlier, holy crap, that's a thing right there. I mean, that's remarkable how we as humans are able to do that. So I'm taking writing my own songs, the pop, the whatever they are. I don't even care. Just pumping out original stuff. That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
Plus, I'm not good enough to play all the other stuff. So, anyways, well, that was a really great question. Mr. Roush. So thank you for sending cool. that. That was a really, really. It seems easy, but it's kind of not. So with that, we need to thank a handful of people, just like that man.
Oh, yes, we do. Are you referring to our executive producers, Todd?
You know it.
Okay. Well, at this point of the show, there's a very, very, very special group of people called our executive producers we'd like to thank. And you might be asking yourself, what is an executive producer? I mean, we know, but if you're listening and maybe it's your first time, go over to patreon.com/the guitar knobs and check out a couple of different levels in which you can participate and become a sponsor, a patron, if you will, of this very podcast. Each level comes with a great bevy of great prizes, including things like barefoot buttons and keychains and t-shirts and stickers. And oh my God, the list goes on and on and on. When you become an executive producer, though, you get all that great stuff. And we're not talking, this is good stuff.
It is. There's lots of it.
And then plenty. Yeah, I mean, you might get lost. When you open that package, you're going to say, it's as if Baloney Claus sent it.
That's right.
Yeah. So who are these people?
Well, these are executive producers. They get all that great stuff, and they also get one more thing. And Jared, what is that?
They get to have their name read on the thing, right now.
Their name read on the thing. So without further ado, special thanks to these executive producers: Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Kearney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lathrop, John Anglin, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Liam Martin, James Pennington, Richard Kendall, Ty Harmon, John Williams, Michael DeLucio, John Jackson, Jason Roush. Hey, Jason, thanks for that great one. And David Rando.
Yeah.
Hello.
Right on.
Wait a cotton picking minute there, Todd, because we have a special group of executive producers. These are the guys that hang out up on the penthouse suite. There are grand poobahs. And in addition to all that great stuff and many other things, they get a special fez to wear. And I'm told that they are required to wear this fez while listening to the podcast. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. It's true. It's been confirmed. So special thanks to these grand poobahs: Mr. Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Cody Lane, Cody Foster, Sean S.
Yes.
Tommy Manasco.
Yes.
Mark Carton, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, and Tim Novak. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you again.
Yes. As we are winding up this year, pretty soon we're just, you can't not look back and take everything in, and we're immensely grateful for all of the support of all our patrons. So, Brian, where can people find your wares?
You can find me at nutterguitars.com, Nutter, just like the cookie, only not nearly as sweet. Guitars.com. You can find me on Instagram under Nutter Guitars and Facebook as well.
Awesome. And be on the lookout for this new import line coming up. And you know what? Just really briefly, I think...
Yeah, man.
We've gotten past the point where people were kind of like wrinkling their nose at like the idea of an import line, because so many great builders are taking advantage of that and allowing people into a brand that they love, as opposed to not getting in at all because they just simply might not be able to. And I think it's a great way to do that. And I'm glad to see that more and more, because then, someday then you go like, actually, now I want a signature model, and you got it.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yes, Tony,
Yes.
where can people find you?
Just head over to pickguardian.com. You can see some of the stuff that I have to offer. You can order online. By and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you're thinking in terms of design, in terms of material, in terms of pickups, all the good stuff. I mean, that's my niche. Custom
Fantastic.
work. You can do it. I'm going to make it for you, and you're going to be happy about it.
It's true. Jared, about yourself.
I go to BrandonWongPickups.com and take a little tour of the website. And if there's not anything there that you need and you're looking for something specific, just throw me an email and let me know what you're doing, and I could probably help you out. Also, we do rewinds, and we're pretty quick turnaround on those too. So BrandonWongPickups.com and watch my show,
Awesome.
Rewind Time with Brandon Wong Pickups.
Awesome. Now, if I have a brand new shiny guitar, but I want really old, messed up looking pickups, can you do that?
Absolutely, we can.
Good. You can drop me a line, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. And when I get stuff in, I always share it with Tony and Jared. So and I don't just mean you can only talk to me. But so, yeah, if you got any great questions or you want to share your would you rathers, we would love to hear them because those are always a blast to get. We want to have a humongous thank you to Brian Nutter for joining us tonight and for being alive.
That's right.
Indeed.
Thank you, guys. I'm very happy about it myself.
I would imagine so. All right, everybody. Stay away from sunflower seeds and have a great guitar week and subscribe.
Yeah.
That's called flute throatitis, I believe.
Hold on a second. I got to get this dog under control.
If for any reason we experience any technical difficulties, it's Jared's fault. And just be patient. Drop it like a Todd.
Are you done, Todd?
Is this better?
That is better. Thank you.
Would you rather?
Okay, that's enough. Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.